very first Geekazoidz podcast, and today we've got our special guest, Mr. Dean Caldicott. Dean, how you doing?
Hello everyone, how's it going? Yeah, hi Ammo, how's things?
Not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Glad to be the first guest on the show. Thanks for inviting me along.
No, it's good to have you. Good to have you, sir. Right, today on our very first podcast, we're going to be talking about 3 different subjects. But the first subject is a combination of 3 IPs that we're going to be discussing. So the reason why we're talking about 3 different IPs is because of the controversial backlash that they're having off their divisive audiences. So these 3 IPs are Doctor Who, Star Wars, and the upcoming Captain Marvel film. Anyway, with Doctor Who, the reason being is because the Doctor is now a woman. And Dean, have you watched the new Doctor Who series?
I have, yes, I've seen it in its entirety, so yeah.
And what did you think of it?
I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Really?
Yes.
How dare
Am
you,
I
sir?
allowed to say that?
I don't know. We might have to string you up at some point, Dean.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't perfect by any means, but I enjoyed it. For the most part.
There's a couple of episodes that I did enjoy, but I think a lot of the backlash is not only to do with the Doctor being female, it's also with the ethnic minority balancing that's going on. Basically, you know, it's a bit like, remember in the 90s you'd watch Power Rangers and you'd have one of every ethnicity.
I remember in the 90s you'd watch Power Rangers. I'm not sure I was watching Power Rangers. I think you and a friend of ours called Doug was definitely watching Power Rangers in the 90s, but it wasn't airing on my TV screen.
Really? Wait,
I wasn't much of a fan of Power Rangers, sorry.
Okay, but you're aware
you can
of
talk
Power
about it
Rangers.
though. I'm aware of Power Rangers.
Yeah.
I know who the Power Rangers are. Yeah, that's all good.
So basically, with Power Rangers, I mean, you had the black character, you had the Asian character, and you know, and that's what they're doing with Doctor Who. So you know, people are like, well, you know, these characters are wooden and boring as well. So you've got the Indian girl. What's her name? The actress is Mandeep Gill. Yeah, the actress is Mandeep Gill, and she plays the character Yasmin Khan.
Yasmin,
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's terrible. You know why that's terrible? And I'll tell you why, Ammo. It's because the simple fact that not my current manager at work, but one of my previous managers, a very nice lady called Yasmin. So I really should have remembered that Mandeep Gill's character was called Yasmin. It's not like I've not heard the name before. Never mind.
Was she really that nice? Was she really that nice? Or are you being sarcastic?
No, she genuinely is a lovely person. There's no sarcasm whatsoever. She's great.
So anyway, a lot of people think she's quite wooden, and there's what's his name, Tosin Cole, and I think he's a bad actor. I don't find him engaging at all.
Yeah, I mean, with him, I don't agree with her being wooden. I think that's quite an unfair comment, really. That's people's opinions with Mandeep Gill's performance. Like, I think that works well. I think it's a good performance.
I think
but
she's.
With the Ryan character,
right.
Maybe it's the writing. I mean, okay, maybe I'm being a bit too fair, but there is something about the character that he is this kind of like slightly not dopey, but I don't know. I mean, it's the way they've written the character, isn't it? He doesn't exactly get a chance to kind of
shine
or have any aspect of charisma to the performance, like in the way that like he's portrayed. And I mean, just even the stuff like even in that sort of pilot where he's on his bike and he's getting his lessons. I mean, he's treated like a little boy from like the first moment he's on screen, isn't he? When you see him, it's like here's this grown teenage lad, and we're gonna treat him like an infant learning how to. I know that's all to do with his condition, like the character's condition in the show. But I mean, I think there's quite a patronising depiction of his character from like the outset, and that just carries on through the show. Really, I know he gets a chance to kind of like prove himself a little bit towards the end, and he becomes a bit heroic and stuff, and pulls at your heartstrings a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a mixture of not fantastic writing of a character and an actor that's possibly miscast. I don't feel that he's maybe not a particularly terrible actor, but I just feel like he was maybe miscast in a role. Like they could have chosen somebody different that might have brought another dimension to that role that maybe he wasn't able to bring as an actor himself. I don't know. That maybe, like I say, I'm being overly fair, but he's certainly not as strong as previous assistants in any of the series, that's for sure.
Yeah. I like the fact that you used the term assistants.
I did. What else do they refer to us?
Well, they call them companions, don't they? As well?
Oh, do they? They're companions now. Oh,
yeah, they're companions now. The Doctor's companions.
A companion sounds like a dog to me than an assistant. The Doctor's companions. Yeah, it sounds like the Doctor, he or she, is taking them for a walk every now and again, like, keeping them well fed. Another thing I was thinking of with assistant is it implies that the Doctor is in charge. So the assistants are kind of a bit subservient to the Doctor. It's like, pick up my sonic screwdriver for me, or do this, do that. Do what I tell you? I'm the Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got 2 hearts.
Yeah.
What have you got? Nothing. Pass me a screwdriver. Yeah, I guess that's why they changed it to companion, maybe. I don't know.
They're a bit like his slaves then, aren't they? He's a slave master, isn't he? The Doctor.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they should change the term. the Doctor's slave assistants, companions. I don't know. You can't please everyone, can you? The Doctor's buddies.
The Doctor and his chums. Yeah.
Apprentices. They should be apprentices. That sounds a lot nicer. It's like they're being trained to be the next Doctor almost. Yeah. The Doctor's apprentices. That sounds fine.
Yeah.
And he just fires one of them at the end of each episode.
Even with Ryan, you'll see him there, like you were talking about. He's at the beginning. You see him. You know, he can't ride a bike, can he? But that's due to has he got some kind of
is it dyspraxia?
Dyspraxia. Yeah, I've never heard of that before. Did you hear about that before?
I'd heard the term, but I wasn't 100% on what it meant.
What it was.
I'm still not 100%. Is it to do with somebody's coordination and their sense of balance and stuff like that? It's kind of out of whack a little bit.
Something to do with their motor functions, basically, innit?
Yeah.
So well, you've got him there, and you know, I mean, any other kid, they're not going to see it as a, you know, they're trying to make kids aware of disabilities and stuff like that, then, aren't they? And but you see, it's also a case of you've got Mandeep Gill's character who's accomplished. She's a police officer and everything, and then you've got Ryan's character where he's, you know, he comes across, like you say, as a bit of a dum-dum, you know. So you've got, again, the woman being the strong character.
I didn't say dum-dum. That's a bit cruel. I said dopey.
I know, I said that. Sorry.
Yeah. You said dum.
It says a lot about me. Says a lot about me. Yeah, so you've got that aspect going on about it. So there's a lot of emasculation going on in you know, in our media and our programming at the moment, and you know, there's lots of forced agendas.
See, with Doctor Who, I don't feel that agenda. I don't feel that it's. I think it's unfair to say it's forced, the agenda of that show. I think the agenda of this season was, I think there is an agenda, but I don't think it's ashamed of the fact that it has an agenda. I think that it deliberately sets out quite clearly from the outset that this is going to be a very different type of show from the previous ones you've had, and we are going to acknowledge some aspects of a way of thinking and a political way of thinking that we were maybe not choosing a side on before. And I think that's because of the times that we currently live in that they're choosing to do that. And I know kind of the argument is, well, just keep that, you know, you don't need to put that into the stories that I watch and the things that my family sit and watch on television. But I kind of feel that you do, in a sense. Like it's such a big platform out there to speak about things that people need to be made aware of. And especially, like, I think back to a show like Quantum Leap when I was growing up as a kid, and that show in particular. Now, I mean, my upbringing is very open-minded, liberal upbringing. I'm not going to lie about that, and my parents are fantastic people in that sense of raising me that way. But additional to that, like, my environment wasn't necessarily like that as much. And if it wasn't for watching shows at a very young age like Quantum Leap that taught me a lot of things about sex and race and things that I wasn't as aware of at that age, then maybe I wouldn't have kind of had the same thoughts that I sort of grew into as I got older if it wasn't for those shows. So I think a show for a family audience can make a big impact on somebody at a young age in a very positive way. And Doctor Who in particular, I discussed this with a friend of mine, and he was saying that after the civil rights episode in that latest series,
what was it called? Rosa.
Yeah, the Rosa Parks episode. Yeah. He was. I was kind of expressing this opinion about the show to him because we were discussing about the change in the show compared to what it was like before, and his daughter. I'm sorry about this if he's listening, but his daughter, I can't remember her exact age, but he did say to me after that episode had aired, she asked him about the idea that somebody couldn't sit on a bus who was a certain colour, and she just couldn't believe it. And she said, but those things didn't happen, did they, Daddy, at the time and stuff? And he had to explain to her and say that no, they did happen and they were real. And the fact that, like, a child is asking their parents that question after watching a bit of television, I think is a very positive thing, really. It is. I know it seems forced in the sense that, you know, it wasn't shoving that down people's faces maybe as much in the previous episodes, but I don't think it's got any shame in the fact that it presents the season as that, and then it just goes with every episode and brings in like one theme after the next that really reinforce this idea to the public about you know, we want to be about equality, and we want to be about making people aware of race and all these things that we feel are positive. And I know some fans maybe disagree with that and think, I don't want this in the show, I just want to be entertained. But you know,
no,
it has its place.
I think that's an awesome thing about the current Doctor Who. It should be educational in that sense, where it does. I mean, like you say, you spoke about Quantum Leap. And Quantum Leap used to have those same themes going on around it, where it would educate the audience about America and its history and stuff like that. You know, so Doctor Who's no different in that aspect. Well, this current incarnation of the show, anyway. But I think what a lot of people have really got against it is just the forced diversity. That's the main thing. And I can appreciate that to a certain aspect, because the way I see it, I think people need to let go of the aggression where they say, well, that person's just being cast because they're brown or they're black, that role has not really gone to the best person. I think people need to calm down a little bit on that. With the Doctor being a woman for the first time, it's got nothing to do with it. I think she was definitely miscast. I think, you know, because if you look at Missy from the previous series, that was brilliant casting. Do you know what I mean? She was. I thought she was a better master than John Sim. Was it? Yeah, the previous master before. I thought she did an impeccable job. You know, and what's her name? Jodie Whittaker.
This is going to be a theme.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
going to be
yeah.
a theme of us forgetting me and you forgetting character names.
It's early Alzheimer's, man. But yeah, Jodie Whittaker. Jodie Whittaker is like. Did you watch Broadchurch? You seen any of Broadchurch?
No,
season?
I didn't get into Broadchurch. I'm probably one of the few people that didn't love Broadchurch.
You watch Broadchurch and you see Jodie Whittaker in that, and she is a supporting actress. You're really allowed to say actress? No. Yeah, it has to be actor now. But yeah, she that's what she is. She's not a leading actress. Do you know what I mean? She doesn't have that impact to me. She doesn't have that presence of a leading actor, right?
Okay. What is it that you had issue with her performance in particular then, as the Doctor in the recent one? Is it...
Well, if you look at the previous Doctors, right? even Matt Smith. I remember when Matt Smith first became Doctor Who. I didn't like him. I didn't like him at all, and he grew on to me. I hated Stephen Moffat. I couldn't. I just thought, his comedy shows were always a bit mediocre. He came from children's TV, which was Press Gang, wasn't it? And
yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, okay, you know what I mean? Like I say, pretty much like Jodie Whittaker, he's a supporting writer. He was a good writer under Russell T Davies. He wasn't a good head writer. So with Jodie Whittaker, she probably would have made a better supporting character in Doctor Who. She would have made a better assistant opposed to being the Doctor. If they wanted to go for a female Doctor, now what's that actress? And I'm going to cut this now. What's that actress's name? Who she was in an episode of Doctor Who, and she plays alongside in Broadchurch.
Olivia Colman.
Yeah, Olivia Colman. Right, Olivia Colman would have made it a better Doctor. Now she's got stage presence. You got to have actors with a certain dynamic who will really get the audience going and really convey that character to the audience. I don't think Jodie Whittaker conveys the Doctor well at all. She's a very weak actress.
I don't know. I think that's unfair. I don't think she's a weak actress. I think maybe some people have issue with the fact, and it's something that I actually found refreshing, is the fact that an actor took that role and kind of just did what they wanted to do with it instead of this. I was getting quite tired of this continuous progression of this personality that, like, everyone seeming to repeat on. I know there's got to be a sense of consistency there to a certain degree, because it's still the same person, like, in each incarnation to a degree. But like, I still felt like it was getting a bit tired, this kind of like the mad professory kind of like kooky sort of like oddball aspects of parts of the Doctor's personality that just kept on being recycled by actor after actor. I mean, Christopher Eccleston brought a certain sense of strangeness to the personality that I think everybody after that repeated, and it just got to a point where it got a bit tired. Whereas I think when she got into the role, because I mean, for one, there's going to be the jarring thing with people of like, well, there's the shift in gender, so that's gonna, in their heads, kind of like subconsciously, they're gonna kind of like see a difference instantly in performance from the previous performances. But getting past that, I think that it would have been very easy for her to have just tried to do an impersonation of every other incarnation of the Doctor that came before. And I don't feel that she did that. I feel that she actually just, like, she took what is her way of performing, because some actors, like say, some actors have an ability to be chameleons, and they kind of like sort of take the method approach and completely emerge into a character and a role and make it their own. And then other actors, you kind of just cast them to be the personality that they are off camera, just on camera. And I think maybe she's one of those kind of actors, and she just kind of decided to be herself and let that become the Doctor. And I wasn't uncomfortable with it. By the end, I actually liked her as a personality, and I thought it was nice to see a new approach to that personality. It wasn't the same old tired sort of recycling of the personality that you'd seen every other actor use, in my opinion. I don't know. Like, that was just my view on it. Well, I don't think she's a bad actress by any means. But,
well, I'm glad people out there do enjoy it. That's good, because one thing we don't want is for Doctor Who to go away like it did in the late 80s, and we didn't see anything until Paul McGann's Doctor. And I really like that Doctor Who movie. I bought that on video, watched it God knows how many times, rinsed that video cassette out, but and I think what I would have liked this season to have been, to be honest with you, because he never got his series. He did never get his series. And I thought what they could have done is the Doctor could have gone back, starts remembering about being a previous Doctor. Yeah. They could work that into the storyline somewhere where we get Paul McGann back, he has to go back and remember being Paul McGann.
When you see him in his tweed, dressed up in all his tweed these days in Luther, like he's even more suited to it.
Yeah.
Like when I see him like in that show, like walking around and the way the character dresses and stuff, I was instantly thinking back to that Doctor Who movie and just thinking like, he's even more perfect for it now than he was back then.
He is better. He's a lot better now.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that he looks more grizzled with age. Yeah, so I think it would be really cool if they would go back and have flashbacks in a series of Doctor Who where he does get to shine as a Doctor. I mean, if you look at YouTube, Doctor Who videos, the highest views are on his Night of the Doctor. Really, they don't listen to the fans when it comes down to it, and that's why a lot of that you've got the fandom menace out there, and they're in existence because of big corporate companies not giving the fans what they really want, and just trying to force their agendas into it. And this is why they're existing, and this is why Star Wars is getting such a big backlash at the moment. Hi, thank you for watching the first part of this podcast series. Hit the notification button, then you know when the next video is out. And please leave your comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe. See you later.